Hi you guys, it's your girl Uzo and this is Uzo Be Living. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that I've gotten asked quite a lot since I started my vlog, and that is working as an international student in Belgium. I get asked so many questions like how many hours can you work, and how easy is it to get a job and all of that. So I thought I would make a video to address those questions. Of course, I'm going to be sharing my own experiences, but at the same time, I'm also going to be giving you some things to consider if you're moving here for school or you're thinking of moving here for school and you would like to work alongside. So if you're ready to get started, let's begin. Before I share my experiences, I just want to point out that there is a difference between student work and working students. Now, student work means that you spend most of your time in school and then you have a few hours left that you can use to work. While working students are those who spend most of their time at work and then they have a little time left, they can use it to study. The contracts are different, but it's important to note that for international students, you can only do student work. You can't be a working student because the reason is you're here to study, you're not here to work. So if you want to become a working student, then you have to change your visa or you have to apply for the appropriate residence card. But if you're here as a student, then you're doing student work. Apart from that, student work has quite a number of benefits. For instance, you pay little taxes, so they call it social security contributions. You pay very, very little, like extremely little compared to people who do regular work. But your hours are limited. You cannot work more than a certain number of hours per week and even a certain number of hours per year. And I'm going to come to all of that in the video. And then if you're working under an interim, you get paid as you go. So it's not like, well, when I say you get paid as you go, it's not like you work now and get the money now. But for instance, in my own experience, working under an interim, if you work today, then you are likely to get the money by Tuesday or Wednesday next week. So I hope that is clear enough for you. So let me share my own experience trying to find a job in Belgium. Number one, there are lots of student jobs. I'm not even going to lie. Like, there are lots of student jobs, but there are not a lot of options if you don't speak Netherlands or French. And that's the honest truth. So for international students, the situation is a bit precarious, right? Because you can't do any customer facing role. And I mean, it makes sense because if you're going to be dealing with customers or you're going to be dealing in a role where you're meeting various people, then you need to be able to speak, one of the main official languages, which is Netherlands or French. So if you speak only English, there are not a lot of options. But then on the other hand, again, my experience, you can work in logistics because, you don't really need language to pack boxes or lift things depending on the company, you can work in logistics. Another thing that shook me a little bit about working when I got here is the fact that you can't work without your residence permit as a new student. Like, even if you have Annex 15, the employers want to see your residence permit. And the thing about getting your residence permit is it can take time. It can take several months, especially if the police man comes and you're not there. They come to verify your address and identity and you're not there. It can take months. So basically for me, I was blessed because in ITM, and I've talked about this in my previous video, in ITM, the student support was there. So even when the policeman came and I had gone to school, the student support officer was there to verify my identity and then, verify the fact that I live there. So I was really lucky. But unfortunately, a classmate of mine was in school at the same time, and then the policeman came and she wasn't there and she had to wait for several months. So while I ended up getting my own residence permit in December, she ended up getting hers, I think, in February or March. So you can see the discrepancy. You can see the amount of time that had gone. If she needed to work to sustain herself in Belgium, it would have been terrible. So yeah, that's the thing. You need your residence permit to work. And unfortunately, it can take a lot of time. Another challenge I had with getting a student job was, and maybe this is peculiar to me because my course is inter-university, and I've explained this so many times in my videos. My course is jointly organized by 5 universities, and the schedule changes from week to week. So literally, in one week, I probably can have school maybe 4 or 5 times the week, like Monday to Friday. In another week, I can have maybe 3 times. Another week, 4 times. Sometimes I can have morning, sometimes afternoon, sometimes full day. So my schedule changes all the time. So it was a bit difficult to find something that would, suit that schedule. Eventually, I did in a logistics company, which made a lot of sense, because I could choose my hours, I could look at my timetable and then pick my working hours for the next week. It made sense, but really, yeah, it's that really threw me off because I'm not used to that sort of thing. So that whole uh, timetable thing really, really threw me off. So if, like me, your own timetable is like that, then you need to find a job that can actually suit your schedule, your changing schedule. Having shared my experiences, here are some things that I would like you to take note of if you are coming here to study and you want to work alongside. The first thing is, are you here on scholarship or you're self-funded? You have to be careful because if you're here on scholarship, some scholarships do not permit you to work. And if they find out, you can be in serious trouble. Like, you probably might have to even refund the scholarship amount. So if you're here on scholarship, then it's a really tricky business. You need to read the terms of your scholarship and find out if you can work. Because if you can't work and you're caught working, you're going to be in serious trouble. So yeah, look at the terms of your scholarship very well. Again, like I mentioned when I was sharing my experiences, there are not a lot of options for students who don't speak Netherlands or French. So if you have some time before you resume school, try to learn either language because it'll be very helpful for you in the long run. But if you don't have time, no problem. It's not like there are no jobs at all for students who speak only English. Like I said, I worked in a logistics company and they employ you regardless of what you speak. Lifting boxes does not need language. You're not speaking to the boxes. So yes, you just be prepared to not have access to certain types of job. And if you're fine with that, I mean, otherwise, if you have like a skill or something, you can come in and then do your own small business if you want to. But you would have to check the legality of that. And don't take my word for it. You would have to do the work and check whether or not that is legal. Also, again, the residence permit thing, it can delay you, especially if you need to work to sustain yourself. So my advice, and this ties into what I said just now, talking about not a lot of options for English speakers. My advice is to find a virtual job before you come. A virtual job that would pay you in a currency equivalent to the euros. So it's fair and it's all nice and good to get a virtual job in your home country, but if that's paying you in a currency that when you exchange it doesn't even make sense, then there's no point. So in order to not come here and be stuck, especially again if you have to sustain yourself, in order for you not to come here and be stuck, it's best for you to get a virtual job, an international remote job that you can do anywhere part-time, so that you will not have to deal with the language barrier or the no residence card barrier when you arrive. Finally, the last thing to take note of is the cap on the amount of hours you can work. As I said before when I was talking about the student contract, there is a cap on the amount of hours you can work weekly and yearly. So weekly, you can work 20 hours per week. And then yearly, as of January 1st, 2023, 600 hours per year. It used to be 475, but it's now 600 hours per year. So it's not like you can't work more than 600 hours, but the problem is once you reach 601, you start paying regular tax. You start to see shaggy. So as much as possible, if you can, it's best to structure your working hours so that it doesn't fall outside the 600 hours. Because yeah, like I said, once it gets to 601, then you start paying regular taxes and literally you just really be working for the government. So how I structured it when I first came, when I at the beginning of the year, was I aimed to work 50 hours per month, so that's 12 and a half hours per week if possible, so that I would just by December reach the 600 hours. And the 600 hours includes summertime. So if you can't work all through time because of school and everything. You can leave all your hours and work during the holidays. But if you exceed 600 hours, you start paying regular taxes. One more thing to note, if you're an international student, it's best for you to join an interim. I know I mentioned this earlier in the video. An interim is a job agency. So they have interim for just students, and then they have interims that cater to students and regular people. So basically, what happens is when you join the interim, if there's an available job, then they will call you, or like the interim I joined, there's an app where you can see available jobs and you can apply for it. I feel like it's easier as an international student to get jobs from the interim than for you to apply directly to companies. But I may be wrong, but I just feel like with the interim there are more opportunities, and it's a wide variety of jobs. You're not stuck to one job, right? So basically today there might be an available job for a cleaner somewhere and you can apply for it, and if you're taking. Tomorrow there might be an available job for maybe a waitress and all of that. So that's why I'm saying that it's best for you to join an interim. So back to my story again. It was very, very tough for me to get a job. Very, very tough. Very, 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 very tough. And sometimes, when I'm explaining this thing to people, it's almost as if, oh, I'm being lazy and I don't want to work. But I know how many times I've been rejected because, oh, you don't speak Dutch, Netherlands, or French. And then, oh, yeah, so many things, so many things. But eventually I got a job in logistics, but that didn't last very long because I don't know, for some reason I think it's seasonal. So there are times when they have lots of jobs and they're looking for lots of students, and there are times where there are no jobs. So I think I joined at a point where there were no jobs, so I wasn't getting jobs. Like, it was so frustrating. It was so frustrating. I think I worked maybe 3 or 4 days, for them. I think I worked 3 days this year. It was so frustrating. So I just stopped applying because at some point it didn't even make any sense anymore. Then I started trying to apply for bartending jobs, for bar jobs, for kitchen jobs, cleaning jobs, any job, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out. But now I have gotten a job. Sort of, it's a job, but it's doing something I love, which is fitness training. So I pray and hope it works out well. So I hope that this video has answered your questions, or at least, well, most of it. But otherwise, please feel free to feedback. Ask me whatever you want to ask me. Tell me what you would like to hear me talk about. And I don't just want to be talking off tangent. I want to actually talk about things that are interesting to you, things that you find useful. So please tell me what you would like me to talk about, and I would be very happy to talk about it. So we've come to that time of the video where I have to say goodbye. I mean, yeah. Thank you very much for sticking with me through this journey. Thank you for all the feedback. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you for the support. But remember, please, if you like the video, if you like the content, don't just like and comment, also share, because you never know who will find this useful. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.